All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you all having a good day so far. We're going to check in on our guy, Jimmy High Roller. Now, it's been a while since I've checked him out because he's kind of started having a reputation of just being like a LeBron lover. But I figured I'd give him another shot, and this would be the perfect opportunity because this title is The Truth About Bronny James Playing in the NBA. So if there's any time where he's going to come out and like speak the truth about the BS that's going on with the LeBron James LA Lakers circus going on out there, this should be it. But I'm curious because if Jimmy just takes a stance of like, no, everything's fine and everything's cool and LeBron's my king, then I think I know to just kind of move on from this stuff. But, you know, Jimmy's had a lot of great videos in the past, and I'd like to give him a chance here. So hope you guys are ready to come along for the ride on this one. Let's watch this together. Let's see what's going on. As always, I'm going to link the original video down below in the description. If you want to watch it without my my commentary, go for it. Everybody else, please leave this video a like. It really helps out. And without further ado, let's do this.
With the 2024 NBA draft in the books, there is one major discussion that has dominated the NBA space over the last week. It isn't about the #1 overall pick. It isn't about the outlook of these teams going into next season. It's about a late second-round pick. And for good reason, because his name is LeBron James.
Double
nickel. And
nickel.
he's going to play in the NBA with LeBron James.
Yeah.
It's a weird and unprecedented circumstance that the NBA has never encountered before. A player who many fans consider to be the greatest of all time playing in the NBA with his own son. A story so strange, you'd think the NBA scriptwriters outsourced their work to ChatGPT, picked the most batshit result, and called it a day. But after 2 years of speculation, we now know with certainty that Bronny James will be an NBA player. And right on cue, the criticism of his merits and value as a future player in the NBA have already came pouring in. Scouts and GMs claiming Bronny as a prospect isn't even worth using a late second-round pick on, and that the real value lies in his last name and the leverage it comes with.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know me, well, like, you know, I see this as just a business gimmick. And also it's, you know, Genie said yes because it's going to make them money. And LeBron obviously wanted this to happen because, you know, for obvious reasons. The whole thing is not about basketball. It's about clout for LeBron, and it's about money for the Lakers organization. I see it as nothing else. So if he's going to make a case for, like, Bronny deserved to get picked, that's complete and utter BS to me. You know, like, that doesn't make any sense. Go look at some statistics and come back when you're ready, you know, because you can't make a case for that. So, yeah, would he have gotten into the NBA if his last name wasn't James? No. Easy. Anybody who knows basketball knows that that's the answer. And is he in the NBA? Yes. What are they doing with him? I already told you. That's all. It's not about basketball at all.
But how valuable is a second-round pick, really? And is Bronny a legitimate NBA player, or is he only in conversation solely because of who his dad is?
Oh, crap. He's going to do it, isn't he?
Who do you want to play with?
Bronny is #1 on my list.
I gotta be on the floor with Bronny.
Today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek. The MLB
All right.
you guys have used, and
Get that
a
promo.
new code Jimmy10 will get 10 it for years like SeatGeek. Mention the
All right, get
SeatGeek
that
app
promo.
and
That's a big promo. All right.
This is Ken Griffey, former major leaguer and 3-time All-Star.
Oh, yeah.
This is Ken Griffey Jr., son of Ken Griffey. And in 1990, these two did one of the coolest things a father and son can possibly do.
Absolutely. I like how this was done, too.
They played in the MLB together. And when I say together, I don't just mean they played in the MLB at the same time. They were on the same team. In fact, they weren't just on the same team, they shared the same outfield with each other. It's probably the rarest and most
Look at
badass
that.
thing you'll ever see in sports.
Yep.
Making it to the big leagues is one thing, but playing in the big leagues next to your kid is a club exclusive to only these two.
If y'all don't know Ken Griffey Jr., he was that guy. He was awesome.
If that wasn't incredible enough, on September 14th, 1990, the Griffeys pulled off something that you will never see again in your lifetime.
I'm gonna inch back up there now.
Bronny James. Ken Griffey Jr. was the best hitter in the game at that point, if not, you know, top 3. he was that dude. He did not get in because of his dad at all. In fact, the star was Ken Griffey Jr. His dad, you know, we knew him mainly in the 90s because it was like, oh, dude, that's Ken Griffey Jr.'s dad.
What else can these guys do?
That's all.
The Griffeys were great.
Yeah.
And they were the first and only father-son duo in the history of Major League Baseball. But they weren't the first father-son duo in professional sports. This is Gordie Howe, one of the greatest players to ever touch the ice. He won 4 Stanley Cups, 6 MVPs, held the NHL record for total career points at the time of his retirement, and is a member of the NHL's 100th anniversary team.
Nice.
Gordie had an incredible pro career as a hockey player, and yet out of all of his accomplishments, the coolest thing he ever did was this. This is Mark and Marty Howe, Gordie's sons.
Oh, wow.
And he played professional hockey with them in both the WHA and the NHL for 5 seasons. Now, if you're thinking, that guy looks a little old to be playing professional sports, you're right. Gordie began his career in the NHL in 1946 when he was just 18 years old.
Nice.
By the time he retired for good, he was 51. A career that stretched from
Playing hockey at 51, damn.
the 1940s to the 1980s. And only with a career like this can a player even have a shot at playing in the league together with their son. Why exactly am I talking about home runs and Gordie Howe? Well, because they're awesome, but also because of these two and what they're about to accomplish in their own sport. LeBron and Bronny James, who are on track to being the first father and son duo to play together in the NBA. An idea that seemed far-fetched when LeBron first mentioned it years ago, but has now become a reality.
It wasn't done the same way. LeBron is doing it in a chokehold, you know, kind of way where it's draft my son or else I leave. And then he was like flirting around with Cleveland and doing all this bullshit that he does. So it wasn't that Bronny got in on his own and then LeBron's like, hey, I want to go play with him. I would respect the hell out of that. If Bronny got in his own accord and then LeBron was like, hey, you know what, Jeannie? Could you trade me over there? Or, you know, I'm a free agent. I'm going to go ahead and sign and play 1 year with my son. I think that's cool. That's fantastic. But the way it was done here was Bronny ain't going to get in the NBA unless we do it this way. And this way was, hey, Jeannie, draft him or else I leave. That's fucked up.
But how legitimate is Bronny's spot in the league? And is the backlash towards the Lakers selecting him with a second-round pick in the draft warranted? Well, to answer this question, we first need to know just how good Bronny is as a prospect and as an incoming NBA player. Right now, NBADraft.net has Bronny rated at an 88 overall across their 12 prospect metrics. This overall rating puts Bronny on the lower end of all second-round picks and future prospects over the last 3 years, but well within range of your typical mid to late first rounder. Now, here are Bronny's numbers during his 1 season of college basketball. 5 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists.
Yeah, look at those percentages, guys. You're going to come in shooting 26% for 3 and a 3-point centric NBA. And then your mid-range sucks too.
Game on 47, 30, 69% shooting splits. Now these numbers, especially from a relatively undersized guard, do not scream NBA potential. But for perspective, here are the average collegiate stats from every late second round pick that played college basketball over the last 5 years. And even when compared to late second round picks, Bronny's numbers aren't nearly as impressive. In fact, Bronny is arguably the least productive college prospect in NBA history.
All right, at least he's telling it true.
Here is a list of every player in the entire history of the NBA to be selected in the first 2 rounds of the draft that averaged less than 5 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists a game in college.
This is why I miss these videos. Oh, no. 0.8 points. Oh, that's the list.
Just 3 players who were selected in the NBA draft with college numbers equal to or less than Bronny's college numbers.
Damn.
Pair that with the fact that these prospects had at least the benefit of having NBA frames and physical tools to be potentially built off of, and the case for Bronny warranting a pick in the NBA draft becomes more and more difficult to make. But to really demonstrate exactly where Bronny falls amongst other second-round picks, here is a chart of every college basketball player selected in the second round of the draft over the last 10 years, with box plus minus on the x-axis and minutes per game on the y-axis. 298 selections spanning 10 drafts. More than half of these players not even in the NBA today. Where's Bronny? He's right here. Most late draft picks, even the guys who go on to not even make a roster in the league, were first or maybe second options in their college program. Bronny, on the other hand, was an undersized rotational player on a sub-500 team. It doesn't take an NBA scout to know that Bronny James's collegiate career wasn't that of your typical second-round draft pick. But how good is the typical second-round pick? With the rise of second-round sleepers in recent history, most notably players like Nikola Jokic, Jalen Brunson, Herb Jones, and Jordan Clarkson, the potential value of a second-round pick in the NBA draft is about as high as it's ever been. With the help of advanced metrics, the curtain has been pulled back on the value even a solid role player can provide to a winning team. Prospect scouting has gotten more comprehensive than ever before, and these second-round picks have held considerable weight within recent trades around the NBA. But how valuable does that truly make them? Gathered from 10 years worth of draft classes from 2013 to 2022, data shows that on average, out of the 30 players drafted in the second round, about 6 of them won't even suit up in the NBA. That's about 1 in every 5 players selected in the second round that will never see a minute of action in the league. Out of the 24 players who do make a roster in their rookie season, about 17 of them end up playing a second season in the NBA.
Damn.
Of those 17 players that are good enough to stick around for more than a few seasons, only about 8 of them will go on to be a role player or rotational level player. Go one step further, and on average, only 4 of these second round picks will become a starting caliber player in their career. That's about 1 in every 8 players selected in the second round.
Yeah.
And finally, of the 298 players selected in the second round of the draft from 2013 to 2022, only
9 years.
2 of them became all-stars.
Wow.
Nikola Jokic and Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
If we think about the last 10 years of second-round picks on a scale of box plus minus, with Nikola Jokic being on one end and the players who don't even make a roster on the other, then most players aren't in the middle. In fact, they're not even close. Most second-round picks fall way down here, somewhere in between what
End of the
Basketball
bench.
Reference would classify as an end-of-the-bench player and out of the league.
Yeah, bench warmer.
When considering how to use a second-round pick, the idea of drafting a guy who ends up being a real contributing player, a starter, or even a future MVP, the perceived opportunity cost can tend to outweigh the actual value of the pick. Drafting a player of this caliber in the second round is like finding a diamond in the rough. But giving away a pick or a potential player that ends up being of this caliber would be a mistake that no front office wants to live with. But that doesn't change the fact that the vast majority of the time, these second-round picks in the NBA draft go on to be these end-of-the-bench level players. Just out of curiosity, does anyone know who the last few 55th overall picks in the draft were and how their careers are turning out? Last year's 55th overall pick has played 1 game in the NBA.
Damn.
The one before that has played 23 games in 2 seasons. The 55th pick in 2021, Aaron Wiggins, is actually having himself a solid career so far. But the one before him is out of the league.
Scrub. That sucks.
The one before that one is also
Kyle
out
guy.
of the league. He's also out of the league, out of the league, out of the league, was never in the league, out of the league, and out of the league. As a late second rounder, if Bronny can contribute on any level in the NBA, he has already exceeded his draft value. And that's really the proposition in all of this. It would be incredible if Bronny developed into a Davion Mitchell or Aaron Holiday caliber player. But the reality is if Bronny can provide any net positive value to his team, then selecting him in the draft will have been a great pick. There has never been a player projected to go this late in the draft with any expectations on what they should or will do in the league. These late draft picks have historically been reserved for players who might have been overlooked, players who maybe underperformed their potential at the collegiate level, players who organizations are willing to roll the dice on because there's virtually no opportunity cost associated with late second round picks. It's all upside at this point in the draft. If they don't work out, well, that's typical. If they do work out, well, then they've beaten the odds. And the very large point being overlooked in all of this talk about potential and value to the team and X's and O's, LeBron James has the opportunity to play basketball with his kid in the NBA. Let's just be honest. This is blatant nepotism, a classic case of it's who you know, not what you know. But nepotism has ran rampant in the NBA for decades, and no one cared. Countless players, coaches, executives, owners who got their shot with far less merit than Bronny has. But now here we are sitting around talking about the integrity of a man who's played 21 seasons in the league and his son because they made the most of an otherwise paltry 55th pick in the draft, and the nepotism leaned in their favor this time around. We can criticize this decision all we want, preach about how this move was a breach of ethics, a slap in the face of the game we love. But then we would all be hypocrites, because there isn't a man on earth who would pass up on the chance to play in the NBA with his son, even if it meant pulling a few strings to make it happen. As much as Bronny benefits from sharing
at
the
least he acknowledges that strings are being pulled.
Last name is arguably the best basketball player of all time, that tag has also came with equal scrutiny. We have never seen a late second round pick get discussed and limelighted like we've seen with Bronny. But we've also never seen a late second round flyer get completely dissected and criticized like this. LeBron and Bronny have a chance to do something that has never been done in the history of the NBA. And that is worth more than any late second round pick will ever be.
Yeah, I mean, I could respect his opinion. I just, I don't know, man. If it wasn't for the blatant amount that the Lakers have been catering to LeBron James, and this just being the icing on the cake, maybe I'd feel a little differently about this if this was just an isolated thing. But I can't. I see the full picture. And from the coaches being fired to JJ being hired to his son being drafted, like not just being drafted to some like the Detroit Pistons or something like that, but being drafted to his team, like I don't like what I see here. It's not even about the nepotism or anything like that. It's about a player having this much control over a multi-billion-dollar corporation that he works for. He doesn't own this company. He does not own the Lakers, but he has this much control and this much power over everything that this organization does. That's my problem. Screw the isolated incidents. Put them all together, and I don't like what I see because what's to stop this from happening again? Suddenly you're good at your job, and now you can tell everybody above you what to do. I don't like that. I don't like that messaging. And I don't like that being the future of the NBA. Anyways, everybody, let me know what you guys thought about the video. Let me know what your stance is on all this. Let me know what you think about the grand big picture of it all. Not just the nepotism and not just the coach firing, but like the whole big picture. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you think that means for the future of the NBA. And I'll see you tonight for the After Dark, all right? Peace out, everybody.